it. So what the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. And how do we know? Because we've seen this happen in other parts of the world. Look at no further than China.
So the government, or the Fed, is about to release in July of 2023 what is known as the FedNow Instant Payment Service. And a lot of people are really concerned about this, and also the government is working on their own centralized bank digital currency. Now, after reading about this online and doing a lot of research, I found out that people are also confusing these two things. So there are two things at play here. So first of all, we have the FedNow Instant Payment Service, which is being launched in 2023 in July of this year. And they're going to be starting this in phases. The first phase is going to start in July of 2023. And then we have the CBDC, which is the centralized bank digital currency, which is a completely different thing. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what the FedNow Instant Payment Service is, what it does, the pros, the cons, and then I'm going to also talk about the CBDC, which is where a lot of you guys may be really concerned. Now, for this video, I'm going to keep my own opinions to myself. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I can. I'm also going to pull information from the sources to show you guys, so you can read and you can see this stuff for yourself. Now, if you agree with anything that I'm saying, comment down below, let me know. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, also comment down below, let me know. But that said, let's jump right into this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Federal Reserve FedNow Instant Payment Service. So this is the official website right here, and this is where you can get all the info. Now, I encourage you guys to read this stuff for yourself, because, you know, if you read this stuff, then you get the idea. If you read something and it doesn't make any sense, then you should be able to say that, hey, I just read this and it doesn't make any sense. So if it makes sense to you, it makes sense. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But basically, this is the FedNow Instant Payment Service. Now, you may be saying, well, Eann, why does the Fed need to release an instant payment service when we already have instant payments right now, right? Because let's say we go on a coffee date, right? You purchase the coffee, I owe you 20 bucks. I can simply just take my phone right here and I can Zelle you or Venmo you or use some other app and I can send you this money. And it may take 30 seconds to get to you, a minute, 2 minutes tops, but it's really quick and it's almost instant, right? So do we really need instant payments from the Fed with this new FedNow service? And this is why a lot of people are asking a question as to why are they now implementing this FedNow instant payments when we already have digital instant payments. Now, after reading through a lot of this stuff, I came to realize that this is actually going to be more beneficial to banks and financial institutions than for me and you. And starting with the first phase, it really won't affect us, the consumers, that much. And to show this, we can go over to the About page for this FedNow service. So basically here it says, the FedNow service is a new instant payment service or instant payment infrastructure developed by the Federal Reserve that allows financial institutions of every size across the US to provide safe and efficient instant payment services, right? So businesses and individuals can send and receive instant payments in real time, around the clock, every single day of the year. And this will be launched or deployed in phases, with the initial launch taking place in July 2023. So basically, if you want to do some transaction right now, let's say you want to pay a utility bill or you want to pay your mortgage, the problem is if my mortgage or my internet bill, for example, was due right now today, let's say it's now what, 11:44 p.m., then I would go into my banking app and I could try to pay that bill, right? However, although I initiated the transaction right now, my bank already has a set schedule when they process these transactions, which is probably going to be the next business day at 11 a.m., right? Or sometimes it could be the day after the next business day. So what's going to end up happening here is that my bill is going to be paid, but I'm going to be late even though I initiated this transaction in my bank at the right time because of how long these things take to process. So this way, if we have the FedNow service, which is supposed to be a real-time instant payment service, then this way you can actually make payments. You can, pay your bills, your utility bills, your mortgage, whatever you need to do bank to bank. and it will actually be truly instant. So it doesn't really affect me and you that much just yet. And if we scroll down some more on this page, it says the first release of the FedNow service will provide baseline functionality that will support market needs for a range of use cases, including those growing in demand such as account-to-account transfers and bill pay. So that is what the first release of this FedNow service is going to be doing. So starting July 2023, you don't really have that much to worry about now. It's not like something is going to change radically in the next 2 months. It's going to really affect banks and financial institutions and not necessarily you right away. Now, eventually, this is what I think is going to happen, right? And you can comment down below and let me know what you think as well. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, so this is just what I think, my own opinion. But I think eventually they're going to move this FedNow instant payment service to the point where they'll want us to use it to replace other P2P apps, right? So for example, right now, I have a bunch of P2P apps that I can use. If I want to send money to someone, I have the option of using Zelle or Venmo or PayPal or a bunch of other apps, right? And I have the option to now choose which one of these apps I want to use. So for example, I may or may not use PayPal depending on what I'm sending money for, because maybe PayPal will charge me a fee, right? So I may opt to use a Zelle. And depending on who the person is that I'm sending money to, I may choose to use Venmo. But the point is that right now I actually have options and I can choose. But eventually, if this is a case where the Fed is going to want us to stop using all these other apps and use the FedNow instant payments, then that is where it kind of gets a bit invasive and it's kind of like a privacy concern, right? Now, although this doesn't really affect us right now, let's talk about the CBDC, which is the centralized bank digital currency. And this is where most of the concerns come in, right? So let's go back to one of these news reports. For example, this was Governor DeSantis, and here he's saying that, or he allegedly said that, a Fed-made digital US dollar would let the government block transactions like buying a rifle or filling up with too much gas. Now, you may be saying this stuff sounds far-fetched, like filling up with too much gas, but think about this, right? In 2020, when we had the whole pandemic situation, people were hoarding toilet paper. Now, with a government or a Fed-made digital US currency, then the government could essentially impose restrictions. So for example, they could come in and they could say, Eann, you're limited to buying only 1 roll of toilet paper per week. And so even though I have the money, I have this digital currency, let's say I'm a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, that block is there. And so I can't purchase any more toilet paper because the government says that, hey, we're going to limit you, and they have that control. Now, if you think that this is actually not possible, we can look at what's happening in China, which is why a lot of people are now outraged of the idea of the government having their own centralized digital currency and wanting us to use it. And people already don't trust the government. So this is just one more reason why a lot of people are going to be angry. So over in China, they have the digital yuan, and it is programmable to the point that the currency can be made to expire, thus forcing consumers to use it by a certain date. So people are now looking and they're saying, well, if this is happening in China, what if the government here or the US government decides to do something like this? Like they will have that much control to the point where they can come in and they can say, Eann, you've been a frugal guy all your life. You've been saving all this money, but we want money in the economy. So from now on, Eann, you're gonna have to spend this money by a certain time or it's gonna expire. So basically, people are really concerned that this is going to give the government so much control that not only will they be able to tell you what to do, but now they can actually restrict you and they can actually force you to use your money to do what you don't want to do, but what they want you to do with your money. Now, the idea of a centralized bank digital currency has its pros, but it has its cons. And so you may be saying, well, Eann, this sounds a lot like Bitcoin or these other cryptocurrencies, right? But it's a bit different. Now, this is the official website here, and the government has been looking at doing this for over the past 2 years, I believe. And here they say, the Federal Reserve has made no decisions on whether to pursue or implement a centralized bank digital currency or CBDC, but they have been exploring the potential benefits and risks from a variety of angles, right? Now, this is what they're saying here. This is from the federalreserve.gov. I mean, you guys can go and read all this stuff for yourself. Now, let's actually go over to a list of countries that are already doing this, right? So this is a tracker and it has a map here. And so basically, you guys can see the different colors. So for this rose looking, pink looking color right here, these are the countries that have already launched their own centralized digital currencies. So for example, the Bahamas has done it, Jamaica has done it, and here we have a bunch of Caribbean countries, 8 in total, that have done this already, and also Nigeria. Now in blue, which is the United States right here, or this turquoise color, I believe that's what it is, they're in the development phase, right? So it's currently being developed. So this is not something that's going to be implemented on July 3 like some people are speculating. We're definitely at least a couple of months, if not a few years off from this being released. So starting July 2023, that is not going to be implemented. So there is not much to worry about right now. But later on, there is cause for concern, because I agree, this is going to give the government so much control to the point where they may be able to not only tell you what to do with your money, but also be able to force you to use your money to do what they want you to do with it. Now, let's go ahead and look at some of the differences between, let's say, a Bitcoin and a CBDC, right? So the differences are basically, or the main difference here is that the centralized bank digital currency is central bank issued, right? And the government actually has full control over this. However, with cryptocurrency, it's decentralized. So no one person or entity has any control. So with CBDC, and I think this is where the government is going with it. You can comment down below and let me know your thoughts. But I think the main idea behind this is that the government wants to be able to get taxes or extract from people. So yes, there are people out here who are making a lot of money and they're not reporting this on their taxes because we're still living in a cash society. So people can kind of like swoop things under the rug. But if the centralized bank digital currency is released and we're actually being asked or, forced to use it, then now the government can come in and they can say, Eann, you've been saying that you're only making $100,000 per year every year, but now we can see every single transaction in and out of your centralized bank digital currency accounts. And so we know exactly how much money you're making, and we know exactly how much money you're spending, and we know every single thing you buy or purchase. And so at the end of the year, you no longer have to file a tax return because we know exactly how much money you should be paying in taxes. And probably they could go as far as saying, hey, Eann, you don't even have to pay us taxes. We're actually able to just go over into your account, reach and extract this money that you owe us for taxes. Now, this is where it all starts. But again, this is going to give the government a lot of control. Now, as for cryptocurrency, no one really knows what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think one of two things is going to happen. Cryptocurrency is going to skyrocket because people are going to push back on the centralized bank digital currency because nobody really trusts the government, right? I mean, a small fraction of the population, they do trust the government, but for the majority of average working people, they do not trust the government, especially with managing money, right? So we don't want the government managing or tracking every single thing that we do because it's a bit invasive and now we have no privacy. However, I do think that the eventual goal here, and the government may not say this, but eventually what's going to happen is maybe the government may introduce this centralized bank digital currency. And when people push back and try to use Bitcoin, for example, or other cryptocurrencies, what may end up happening is that the government will then try to ban cryptocurrencies in an effort to force people to use the central bank digital currency. So that is cause for concern, I will admit it. But I just wanted to make this video to clear up a couple of things because starting July 2023, nothing is going to really change. We're not going to be using the centralized bank digital currency this year. This is still months, if not years away from the launch. And the FedNow payment system is more than likely only going to affect banks and financial institutions for now. And FedNow instant payments and the centralized bank digital currency are two separate things. So hopefully this video was able to clear up some of the misconceptions. Also, you guys can go and verify all this information. It's on the web. You can find it. You can read articles. You can watch the news, whatever. However, you can find the info and you can read for yourself and you can decide if this makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. So comment down below. Let me know what you think the end goal for the government is with the centralized bank digital currency. Let me know if you think they're going to try to control us, if they're going to try to ban cryptocurrency and try to force us to use this, or if you think they're truly just interested in making life easier for us. They just want to give us a centralized bank digital currency so we can have real-time transactions and for the benefits. Comment down below and let me know. So with all that said, thanks for watching, all the best, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one.